Hi girls, so today what I'm going to do with you is I'm going to run through more elements of sets that you have not covered just yet. You will get a better understanding of them by the end of this video. Okay, so far you know a few things. So you know what a set is. So a set is a collection of well-defined objects. Okay, so remember we did the different examples such as the counties in Munster. That is a set because if I was to ask any person on the side of the street, they'd be able to tell me the counties in Munster. And then I gave a few different examples like tall people in the class, and we were able to say that's not a set because it was not well defined. So we all have different opinions. So my opinion of someone who is tall might be different to someone else's opinion of someone who is tall. So it has to be well defined. So that is a set. Then we looked at different symbols. So we know inside in a set we have elements. Okay, so the objects in the set are called elements. So for example, Tipperary is an element of the counties in Munster. So we had a symbol here, so I'm just going to write it up here. This stands for element, so it's like an E, so that's element. If something was not an element, we had a line going through it, okay? So Dublin is not an element of the counties in Munster. That could be an example. We've also looked at subsets, okay? So I think you've covered subsets as well. So that's a smaller group within a larger group. So first years are a subset of the junior cycle. Or we could say 1B is a subset of first year. So everybody in 1B is also in first year. So it's a smaller group within a larger group, okay? And then we had this symbol here, which is a hashtag, and we know in maths that actually stands for cardinal number. So the cardinal number means the number of elements in the set. So this is just a quick bit of revision to make sure that we remember all our different symbols and meanings of the words. So what I have here is my cardinal number. So if I was to ask you what is the cardinal number of the days of the week, you would give me the answer as 7. Okay, so now what I'm going to go on to is something a little bit different. Okay, so this example I've wrote it out here is actually on page 7 in your books. Okay, so if you want to open up your books to page 7, right, so we have a new term today, Venn diagrams, okay? So sets are all about Venn diagrams. So a Venn diagram, girls, is basically this here. It's my circles, okay? And they'll become very clear to you by the end of this lesson, okay? So I just want to introduce you to what a union is, okay? So the union of two sets is a set of elements contained in either set. The union of the two sets A and B is written as AUB, okay? So girls, this is another symbol that we need to learn, okay? So the U, okay? So it's capital U, and that's for the union, okay? So the set A union B contains the elements which are in both A or which are in A or B or both, okay? And what I have here is I've drawn out, okay, so my circles here, girls, they always overlap here, and they have like a bit that's in common to both of them, okay? So the union is everything that is in these circles, okay? So these circles are called my Venn diagrams. Girls, what I want you to do, so it's page 7, I want you to take down that yellow box, okay? And the heading, so it should be written like this, Venn diagrams. Then it should be union, and I want you to write down the definition. So if you can't see my writing or if you can't understand it, it is page 7, that yellow box, and I want you to also draw in this diagram into your copy. Then what I have here, the next part is my intersection, okay? Right, so we've seen the word intersection maybe if you were out driving, okay? So you might be with your parents and you might see the intersection, and you know an intersection is like where a road crosses over, okay? So this is similar in my Venn diagram. So an intersection in this case is where they meet, okay? So it's where they are in common to both of them. It's where they cross over one another. So the intersection of two sets in the set of elements that are common to both sets. So the intersection of two sets A and B is written as AN, okay? So it's kind of like a little N, so that stands for intersection, Okay, so girls, I am aware that this is a lot of information to take in, but don't worry, we'll be going through plenty of examples when I'm back in. So the set A, so my N stands for intersection. So maybe actually what we'll do is we'll have in brackets N here, so we know that's what intersection is, and up here we'll have a U for union. Okay, so the set A intersection B contains the elements which are in both A and B. Okay, so this is my Venn diagram again. So remember, my Venn diagrams is the two circles, and what I have, my intersection, is the bit that's common to both of them. I'm going to go through an example here to make these circles make more sense to us. Okay, so these are just our definitions, which I want you to write into your copy, and then the example here will help us understand the Venn diagrams a lot clearer. This is the example here, so this is also in your book on page 8, but I'm going to go through it here first of all. So I'm given x is equal to, so remember when we first went through sets, we had our little curly brackets, and these are all my elements inside my set x, okay? And these are all my elements inside my set y. I'm asked to represent the sets x and y on a Venn diagram, okay? So what I need to do is I need to draw out, okay, so we know the Venn diagram is my two circles. So I'm drawing out my circle and my circle. Right. This here, I'm going to call this one x, and this one over here, I'm going to call it y. Okay, so I have my x and my y. The first thing I always need to fill in my intersection first is my middle part here. Okay, so in my Venn diagram, I always fill in the intersection first. What I mean by the intersection is I look at my sets here, okay, and I see, do they have any number in common? Okay, so 2 is only in set x, okay, 3 is only in set x, 4 is only in set x, but look here, I have 5 is in x, but it's also in y, okay? If they're in both of the sets, what I do is I put my little circle like this, little dot, and I write 5, okay? Right, that has to go in the middle because it's in both x and y. Then I go on and I see 6 is also in x, and it's also in y, so I put my 6 here, because it's in both of them, so it has to go in the middle part here. You don't put the 5 or 6 in here because that would mean it's only in x. So now I have 2, 3, 4, and they're only in x, so I put them in here. 2, 3, and 4. And y, 7, 8, 9, so they're only in y, so I put them out here. 7, 8, and 9. Okay, that is my Venn diagram completed. So the first part, I always fill in my middle part first, what they have in common. So I look here, what do they have in common? And I can see they have 5 and 6 in common. So we fill them into the middle part here. Anything then that's left over goes out here. So this is the x and this is set y. Okay, and this is it fully filled in. Now there's more parts to this question that I'm going to write down now. So the next part of this, it asks me to list the elements of x, right? So this symbol, we've just learned it now, union y, okay? So if we look back here, my x union, okay, so this is A union B. Now we have x union y. So basically my union is everything in the two circles, okay? So it's everything all included. So I'm going to turn over here. Right, so I need to list the elements of x union y. So what I'm going to do is x union y is equal to. Right, I'll do it 2 different ways now to show you. Okay, so I'm going to list 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to write 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so that's all of the elements listed here. So girls, I would have said previously that it does not matter the order of the elements, okay, so it does not matter, but it's very nice to see them in order here. So make sure we put them in the correct order, so from smallest to largest, and we have every single element included, so that's part B done. Then what I need to do is I have list the elements of x, n, y. Okay, so that's another symbol that we just learned, my little n there. and that stands for intersection. Okay, so N stands for intersection, and we know that intersection is what they have in common to both of them. Okay, so the intersection is just going to be this part here, the middle part, what they have in common to both of them. So I'll do my little brackets, because remember we always need to draw our little brackets like this when we're answering these questions. So the elements in X intersection Y is 5, 6, and that's part C completed. Then part D asks me what is hashtag here X, N, Y, question mark. Okay, so this here, that symbol represents my cardinal number. Okay, so the cardinal number is the number of elements in the set. X, N, Y, so the N there stands for intersection. So intersection is the middle part, and we've just answered that. So what is the cardinal number of X intersection Y? So my middle part, my cardinal number is just 2, because there's 2 elements in that set, 1, 2, and we have it here. So that's the example done out. I'm going to complete another example now. Okay. So here I have A is equal to 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and B is equal to 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. Okay, the first part of this question asks me to copy and complete the Venn diagram. I need to complete my Venn diagram, my circles here. Okay, the first thing, the most important thing I need to do is I need to fill in my middle part, my intersection. Okay, to fill in my intersection, I need to see what elements do they have in common, okay, that are in both set A and B. Okay, I can see here that 2 is in A and it's also in B, so I put my little dot and put 2 in. I can see now as well that 4 is in A and 4 is in B, so I put 4 here as well. Then I see, do they have any more in common? 6 is only in A, so I don't put it in there. 8 is in A and B, so I cross off 8, and I put it in my intersection. Okay, now I have any number that's left over goes out here. Okay, so it's in the set A only, so I put my little dot, 6, 10. Okay, so I'm going to cross them off. And any element here, so 1 hasn't been put in, so I'm going to put in 1. And also 16 has not been put in, so I'm going to put in 16. That is the set A and B completed. Then it says list the elements of A, U, B. Okay, so it's asking me to find A, U, B. So it's really important that we learn what our symbols mean. Okay, so this here, it's a new symbol today. That is my union. Okay, and union means everything inside the 2 circles. So if you ever get confused, go back and look at your book, okay, on page 7, and you'll be able to see what part of my circle am I looking for. Okay, so A union B is everything in the 2 circles. Okay, right, so I could start off like this, and I'll write 6, 10, 2, 4, 8, 1, 16. Okay, I like having these in order, so then I'm going to put them in order, rearranging them. So the smallest one is 1, then I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 16. And I'll just double check that I haven't forgot any. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we like putting them in order. As you get practice doing these, girls, you'll have no problem putting them in order straight away. But for now, we'll just make sure that we have every single element included. Then part C says list the elements of A, and we have this symbol. Okay, my N. Okay, so my N stands for intersection. And I need to find my intersection. So if we ever get confused, we can always look back. But my intersection is my middle part. Okay, so it's what they have in common to both of them. So it's the people that are in set A and B. Okay, so my answer for this one in my brackets is going to be 2, 4, and 8. Then part D says, what is, okay, so this symbol here is my cardinal number. Okay, so my cardinal number is the number of elements in that set. Okay, so A, U, B, so we know that letter stands for union. Okay, and we've already answered that question up here. So I can see my number of elements in that set. I'll count them again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this answer is equal to 7. Then part E asks me cardinal number of A intersection B. Okay, my intersection is the middle part. Okay, so here I look back and I have the answer A intersection B is equal to 2, 4 and 8. Okay, so my cardinal number of A intersection B is 1, 2, 3, and that's my final answer. I'm going to do one last example and then I'm going to leave you complete a few questions by yourselves. Okay, so this now is question 6 and it's on page 9. So I'm going to run through this example as well. So I'm told D is equal to, and it says whole numbers from 4 to 9 inclusive. So inclusive means it includes those numbers. Then it says E is even numbers between 1 and 15. So I need to list the elements of D and E. Okay, so first of all I'm going to say D is equal to. I'm going to do my curly brackets because I'm listing elements. Right, so it's whole numbers from 4 to 9 inclusive. So whole numbers we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. E then is equal to, list even numbers between 1 and 15. So my even numbers between 1 and 15, I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Okay, that's part A. Then it says show the sets D and E on a Venn diagram. So we know now our Venn diagram is my two circles. So I'm going to have D and I'm going to have E. So this is my D, this is my E. Okay. First thing, I always fill in my intersection. So to find my intersection, I need to see what elements do they have in common. Okay, right. 4 is in D and it's also in E, so I'm going to put in my 4. 6 is in D and it's also in my E, so I cross off and I'm going to put in 6. Okay, remember we can't repeat any of the elements, so that's why it's really important that we cross them off. 7 is only in D. 8 is in D and it's also in E, so I cross it off here, and that's all. Okay, so all of these that are left over, so I have 5, 7 and 9 left over, so I'm going to fill them in here. 5, 7 and 9. Okay, and then E I've left over, I have 2 left over, so 2, 10, 12 and 14 left over. Okay. Part C of this question then says, list the elements of D, U, E. Okay, so that U stands for union, and we know union is everything inside the two circles now. Okay, so union is everything inside the two circles. So I'm going to use my brackets when I'm listing elements. Okay, and I'll start off here. So I have 5, 7, 9, 4, 6, 8. So 4, 6, 8, 2, 10, 12 and 14. Okay, right, but I like to put them in order, so I'm going to just rearrange them now from smallest to largest. Okay, so I look along, so my smallest is 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 and 14. Okay, so at the end always rearrange them because we like to see them nice and neat here and in order. Part D of this question then says, list the elements of D, N, E. Okay, so that word there, the N, is my intersection, and my intersection is what they have common in both of the sets. Okay, so what's in both of the sets? So I'm going to list those elements, and I have 4, 6, and 8. Okay, so I've listed my elements. Part E asks me, it says, what is hashtag D? So we know the hashtag in maths stands for cardinal number, so it's the number of elements in the set. Okay, so in D, I count them up. How many do I have in D? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my answer is 6. And part F is hashtag D intersection E. Okay, so the number of elements in D intersection E, and we've just done that here. So D intersection E is 4, 6, and 8. So it's the middle part. So we can say the answer for that one is just 3. Okay, so girls, I've gone through today union and intersection. Okay, if we learn those two things today, you're doing a really, really good job. Okay, so that's what we're trying to do today, is make sure we know what a union and an intersection is. So what I wanted to do is to make sure you have those 2 yellow boxes and the diagrams drawn into your copy that were on page 7. So I did those at the start of the video. And now what I want you to do is I want you to complete question 2, 3, 4, 5 for homework, okay, or you can finish them off in the middle of this class. Okay, so anything that you don't get finished, I want you to complete them for homework.